there, my name is Serena, and I am a social media project manager with SmartSites. Today, I'm here with Dr. Jerry Yo, as well as Dr. John Miller of Next Level Physio in honor of this week's Being Back Healthcare Awareness Week to see how we here at SmartSites can improve on our back care. So, how are you guys doing today?
Great. And Serena, thank you so much for having us on. We're really excited to talk about our expertise and how we can help bring some value to your staff and team members to help keep their back healthy and in check.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for deciding to have a meeting with us today. So with our employees all being work from home employees, we typically have a lot of different setups that we tend to use, whether that be at a physical desk, sitting on a couch with our laptops, which I'm sure is cringeworthy to you guys, or opting for a sort of standing desk opportunity to where, we could stand, we can jog in place a little bit, and just get our feet moving a little bit. But I do tend to notice that within our work group chats, we're all experiencing some variation of back pain. So can you guys give me a little bit of insight as to why lower back pain typically occurs?
Sure. Couple things first. There are many pain generators of low back, Serena. So you have your disc, muscle, ligament, nerve, hip, pelvis, pelvic floor, and you're talking about organic causes, kidneys, GI, even your aorta down there can also cause some issues. So it's really super important to be able to tease these kinds of things out before deciding on what is actually contributing to low back pain. But I'm so glad you mentioned this, and we'll get to this more a bit later. What we find is that it's not the fact that you're actually on the couch, Serena. It's not that you're standing or you're sitting or whatever. The variety of positions really leads to a better way to manage low back pain in general. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
Awesome. Okay, so with that being said, why do people, tend to have that lower back pain? And are there any statistics that you could kind of provide for us, moving forward?
Yeah. John?
Yeah. So 1 in 3 people actually experience like back pain, and it impacts their everyday life. It's a statistic that we found from like the NIH, which is a pretty astounding number, right? That's 33% of every person that you come across in your entire life. In 2017, there was 55% of Americans that tried to treat it on their own. It doesn't go into how successful they were. So it's always good to seek the help of a professional, a medical professional, in order to get this treated. And only 10% of medical doctors actually referred people to physical therapy, which is kind of a shame because physical therapy, I might be a little bit biased, but can really help with low back pain. There's a couple different treatment effects that you can get. There's a couple different treatments that you can get in terms of like acupuncture, chiropractic care, physical therapy, injections, medications, surgery. And if you exhaust all those resources, then your back pain should definitely be better, but you don't have to go through all those in order to get better.
Yeah, sure. And to touch back on those stats, actually, Serena, at some point, more than 80% of Americans will have low back pain. In fact, it's one of the most expensive. It costs the U.S. hundreds of billions of dollars in managing this sort of epidemic, if you will. And so it's really important for us to appreciate that, because the impact on the workforce, the impact on your everyday life is massive. And the worst thing you can do is, and a lot of people do this, and myself included sometimes, it's like, it'll go away. And how many times have we done that? It'll get better, that kind of thing. But the more that we delay getting things taken care of, whether it's low back, whether it's your shoulder or hip, whatever it may be, the longer it takes to get rid of that issue. Because now you have other kinds of things that have compensated for that to happen. So now you're not only dealing with a back issue, but now, my hip's sort of kind of weird, and my knee and whatnot, because you've changed how you move, because you haven't addressed the root cause, which might be coming from your low back.
Very interesting. Okay, so are there any sort of, lesser known causes that, kind of form because of back pain that you feel are kind of missed?
I'm so glad you said that, because there are typical things like, I went sick for a long time, I get back pain. Trauma, of course, you've had an accident of some kind or a fall, muscle imbalances. And these are a lot of things that people will say, this is why you have low back pain. But some of the lesser known root causes of low back pain come from things like the rib cage and your pelvis. And these two areas are often missed. They play an enormous role in your back hygiene, if you will, your back health. So what we do differently than a lot of different practices is we look at these things more closely, because if you think about it, your ribs, everything's attached to the spine, your pelvis is attached to your spine. So if you don't address these two things, you're not getting the full picture of what might be causing your low back pain.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah. And then just to piggyback off that, another one that probably everyone has heard is warming up. Like, that's something that people just don't do. If you get out of bed and you go to walk around, you go to bend over, maybe put on your sock or your shoe, there is some kind of like stiffness there because you haven't really moved or loosened up your muscles or loosened up the joints. So we highly recommend any kind of warming up before activity, because, you know, you hear your dad or your husband or your brother kind of go out there and play a baseball or pick up a basketball game, and they just have to sprint right away, and then they pull something, and it's usually because they just didn't warm up. This relates directly to the back, and if you don't warm up the spine, then it can be a reason why you're having a lot of back pain.
Okay. So for me personally, I tend to find that I'm very sore, and this tends to happen especially after a long day of just working at a desk, which is never something you think that you would be sore from, I guess, you know, from personal opinion. So does slouching tend to kind of play a factor into this? And do you guys have any, you know, proper posture techniques that you would recommend we do, whether that's wearing a back brace, using any sort of, you know, flexing, like a yoga tool or anything like that?
I think you touched on a couple of things, Serena, when I want to address that. And the good thing is that, so our spines, I wanted to say, they're resilient. They were made to bear weight. They're made to handle a lot of weight over time. The problem is that as a culture, and you've said it yourself, and happens to me too, when I'm writing it a lot or I'm at my desk, my back gets sore too. And it's just the lack of a variety of movement that actually leads to this most of the time, that we find in our desk jockeys, if you will, and people who are just, you know, always, you know, doing something on the computer. It really becomes an issue because they're in one position the entire time. Now, you might be asking, well, you know, is it because I'm slouching, or maybe it's because I'm sitting? But even if you have great posture, and John and I would say, and most PTs probably very aware of our posture, even good posture sustained over too much of a period of time is also going to cause low back pain. So the lesson here is, and we always, especially for our clients who are at a desk all day, we'll say, listen, just get your iPhone out, your Android phone, set a timer for every 45 minutes to an hour to just get up and move around. We'll have them do back bends, just kind of a couple of very simple mobility drills so that they can get loosened up and get things flowing again. And if you just do that sort of regimen, every 45 minutes an hour, just get up and do something different for about a minute or two, you're going to stave off that force on your back, and also the possibility of that becoming sore over time.
Yeah, and also to piggyback off that, there's actually been research done that taking like these little micro breaks just to stretch, maybe you like reach up to the ceiling, you know, stand up, reach up to the ceiling, walk around for a little bit. Maybe if you do have a standing desk, you do have a sitting desk, you kind of like alternate between the two every, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour or somewhere in that range. It can actually make you decrease fatigue, more energy, and more productive. So it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, if you think about it, Serena, like, we were made to move as humans. And so when we're not moving, everything becomes stagnant, and it becomes stiff, it becomes less mobile, everything becomes less pliable, if you will. So the more we incorporate movement into our everyday life, whether you're at a desk or whether you're not, the better off you're going to be for the long game.
I see. Okay. So with that being said, aside from doing, you know, stretches periodically throughout the day, is there any sort of desk setup that you guys would really prefer, or, you know, recommend that we start doing? Just because typically a lot of us are either working at our desks, we're working at a coffee shop sometimes, working at, you know, on our couches, or it could really just be anywhere. With the ability to work from home, we're really left with a lot of these creative opportunities. However, how can we start utilizing and making sure that our desk space is a safe space for our back?
Absolutely. There are a couple of things off the back, and we can go into nitty gritty, but I think we'll keep it general. In general, if you're looking at an ideal posture for yourself at your desk, you're going to be looking down at your screen at about 18 to 20 degrees, I think it is, so that you're not like doing this, sort of like this posture. And a lot of people, and listen, if you have that issue, you might want to get your eyes checked. It might be an eyeglass issue, but you really want to be up in this upright position. Your elbows want to be at 90 degrees. Your feet should be flat on the ground. This gives you a nice sort of posture to assume to be able to do the work that you need to do. And that's probably going to be ideal. Now, if you have to move from that position or if you're in less ideal positions, what you can do is to do things like making sure that your feet are lifted. So you can't do much at a coffee shop, but it means you got to bring something and put it underneath your feet so that you have that 90-degree position in your feet being flat on the ground. You got to do that kind of stuff as well. But overall, it's really about, like, if I'm at a coffee shop, for example, I know that after half an hour for my own back, what I'll do is I'll get up, walk around, even just walk to the bathroom and come back. And just that, by doing that, I can go for hours at a time. It also gives my brain a break so that I can actually refocus and be able to do what I need to do more focused as well.
Okay, so it's very interesting that you bring up, sitting like this. I do tend to do this a lot as well. Typically, I wear glasses. However, there are times when I'm just not wearing any glasses. So definitely something very good to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, and just kind of leading right into it, it seems like there are a lot of lifestyle changes that are potentially needed as well, especially for back care. So do you guys have any recommendations when it comes to exercise and or nutritional health?
Yeah. I'll just talk about exercise real quick, John. So in general, we found from the research, and there's been a lot of research in low back pain because of the reasons that we mentioned before. But the biggest thing we're finding is that just general exercise in and of itself, Serena, can really have a huge impact on your overall lifestyle, of course, but also on your back pain. Whether, we can get into specifics, but shouldn't you work at the core out? Shouldn't you be doing squats? Shouldn't you be doing yoga and Pilates? These are all important things. And that, again, introducing a variety of movements into your repertoire is amazing, but just moving is enough to keep your back healthy. And that, I can't emphasize enough. Just go for a walk for 10 minutes. That in itself is going to, if you're not, oh, I don't want to sweat. I don't want to, I don't want to lift heavy weights. Okay, fine. Just move. You're going to keep your back in a much better position than if you just sit down and live that kind of sedentary lifestyle forevermore.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, with that being said, does chiropractic care tend to really help back pain? Because there does seem to be a lot of speculation on, what should we choose? What should we do? Should we go to physical therapy? Should we go to a chiropractor? Should we get a massage? Obviously, all of these things kind of touch base on different issues with our backs, but what are your guys' opinion on it?
Yeah. So I think that you can definitely get help by chiropractic care. There's a lot of people that respond really well to it. There's a lot of people who respond really well to massage and physical therapy. The big caveat that I would say is that it usually doesn't take like just one incident or one thing that causes you to have this back pain. And it usually won't go away with just one thing. So a massage, a manipulation or mobilization. It's usually like you got to get that range of motion back if there was stiffness involved. Then you have to like keep on moving, and then you have to make sure you have like the endurance of the muscles and the strength of the muscles to kind of maintain that. Otherwise, you're going to have to keep on going back week after week, month after month. Maybe it's 3 months you get relief and then it comes right back. There's something that's just missing. And that's where like physical therapy and models that take in like a full whole body approach really come into play, because they'll figure out like, okay, your rib cage or your pelvis is a little bit tipped forward, or you don't have the right breathing mechanics to improve your range of motion, or you have weakness over here that's causing you to walk differently or sit differently. So now you're in this weird posture that causes the low back pain over time.
I see. How does Next Level Physio approach back pain differently from other traditional physical therapy? Would you, recommend anything?
Yeah, absolutely. And like John said, we do take a more of a whole body approach, Serena. So we focus on finding the root cause. And oftentimes, like we said before, it's not at the low back, it's other things that are causing that to occur. It might be lifestyle, might be habits, it might be nutrition. We didn't talk about too much, but in general, eating a lot of, you've heard this before, eating a lot of processed foods generally causes inflammation in your body, which decreases your body to be able to heal and causes undue stress on your body as well. But other things like supplements like ashwagandha, curcumin, boswellia, these are all great things to take, and they have a very natural inflammatory effect. But going back to what we do, we individualize our plans of care to the results that our clients want. So typically what happens is when you go to a traditional physical therapy office, and I've worked at these places before, so I can say this with accuracy, is you'll get a hot pack, maybe some stim, maybe some ultrasound, and you get a very cookie cutter exercise program that, like, honestly, is too basic for anybody who's very active. And so if you're a sedentary kind of person, this might be okay. But the clients that we serve are very active people who want a transformation in their life and want to get to this other level that they haven't been able to get to before. And that's what we that's where our sort of like focus is on our population. So active people and athletes who want to get to the next level naturally. And so you can't do that when you're seeing 3 to 5 other patients at the same time, which you often see at these other sort of chain or traditional type places. And they can't really spend the time with you to figure out what's going on sometimes. Like we've had a lot of clients come from other places saying that, I went there, but I never got really any better. It felt good that, they had their hands on me, but, I still had my knee pain. I still couldn't get back to running. I couldn't get back to golf or tennis. And that's a tragedy because these are things that could be taken care of. And because they're coming to us, we have the time to spend with them. They are getting better and they're able to get back to what they love to do. And they're able to get back to the results that they were looking for. And it's, for us, that's kind of like what we try to do differently. Our method is also a little bit different as far as like how we take people through phases. We have our Move, Excel, Inspire method. And basically it comes down to when we're in the mood phase, we're helping patients reduce their pain, restoring normal everyday movement for activities they do. And then we get into our Excel phase, which is where we stabilize, secure, and strengthen muscles and joints so that they can start building up to our Inspire phase, which is where we test the capacity of somebody wanting to get back to something they love to do. So whether you're a runner, golfer, CrossFitter, triathlete, what have you, we want to make sure that you can get back to a level of performance and activity that you've never been able to achieve before. And that's what excites us about what we do. We really want to take people to that next level where I never thought I can get back to this. And you guys got me beyond even that.
Absolutely. I think we're all kind of looking to just make sure that we're all improving our back health overall. But, just being able to have that mobility, because a lot of us are very used to being able to go back into the office and walk around. However, since we are work from home, it's just, a new step in life and it's a new phase where we're all just kind of trying to learn how we can better care for ourselves. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for taking the time to interview with SmartSites today, just to give us all some insight, and anyone who else, who works from home, also some insight on how to better properly take care of ourselves.
You're very welcome. If anyone wants to reach us, Serena, they can email us at info@nlphysio.com. They can come to our website, which is gonextlevelphysio.com as well. We're located in Montclair and in Woodcliff Lake for anyone who's in Bergen County or Essex County.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.